Sarnia, thanks for watching. This is Into the City. I'm Katie Horvath. I'm here today with Denise Robertson. Denise is looking for your votes. She is running for a seat on the City Councillor position in the upcoming 2018 Sarnia Municipal Election. Denise, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Katie, and it's really nice to meet you.
You as well. So why don't we start with getting to know you a little bit. So just tell me and the viewers at home a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Sarnia, so I've been here my whole life. I currently work at an ophthalmic clinic for Dr. Ibrahim in Mera Trade Center, so many people know me as that. Mm-hmm. I ran in the last election. Mm-hmm. Did fairly well, so it gave me the bravery to give this another try. Right. Now, since that election, I have been 2 years on Planning Advisory Committee, and I've been honored to serve the people on the Committee of Adjustment for the last 4 years. So I've got quite a bit more training than I would have had in the last election, so I'm really pleased about that.
Great. And when you're not working and on these advisory committees, what is it that you like to do in your downtime?
I like doing renovations.
Oh, that's interesting.
I have been learning to do all kinds of things, from demolishing my front porch and rebuilding it. And at the moment I'm working on, there's a spot in my car that needed a repair, and I thought I'd give that a go.
Wow, very cool. So you mentioned you ran in 2014. Is there anything that changed, any new reasons why you decided to run again in this term?
Well, hopefully I've got a lot more idea of how the city works, what we can and we cannot do. There's a lot more rules and regulations and things to abide by that I hadn't realized before, so I have more knowledge now. The city actually sends you for training, which is wonderful. So I've gone on 2 different training sessions out of town, as well as a lot of in-town training.
Okay, great. And why do you think that you would make a good representative for the people of Sarnia?
For one, I've been here all my life. So I run a business here. I ran a business from 1996 to 2009. Forever Classic.
Oh, okay.
The clothes, Linda Lundstrom clothes, shoes, designing shoes and giftware.
Right, excellent.
Absolutely loved it. Started from nothing, built it to something.
Wow, that's great. So we'll move now for this part of the interview into Denise's reflections on the current council. So just in general, could you comment on the 2014 to 2018 council term?
I think it was a hard term for a lot of people because there's a lot more public input now, which is technically a really good thing, but at the same time you're starting to get a lot of divisiveness of beliefs and people really being firm in their beliefs, and I find that difficult for people to work under on both sides of the fence. They're working with that as well as trying to get the job done that needs to be done.
Fair enough. So what are some things that you feel that the current council has done well this term?
They've done very well at making sure that the meetings continue to run smoothly, at just being more socially visible. That was a big one, is much more socially visible, a lot more things online, a lot more visibility, a lot more transparency, and I think that was great.
Yeah, definitely a good move. So as you mentioned, because we live in an age now where you hear everybody's opinions, and that can create some divisiveness. Obviously there have been some issues that kind of drove that division further over the last term. Could you comment on that, and also moving forward, how we could move forward and what you could bring to the table in moving the city from that?
Okay, well, I like to look through the lens of the future. We can learn from things in the past. We're all people, we're all humans, we all make mistakes. If you make a mistake, don't make it again. That's a good thing to try to do. Not everybody can do that at all times, but we can try to do it. So working together is something really important to me, and I think that we have a lot of great people, and I don't think I'd have a problem working with anyone.
Okay, great. So this year we're switching to e-voting. There's been a big shift at City Hall, more tech, expansion of the IT department, heading in the direction of the future, the way things are going. Criticism is we do have an aging population. Many of them are uncomfortable with that. Whether the fears are real or perceived, they are present. So could you comment on that and kind of the relationship between trying to move forward but also supporting the people who may not be ready for that kind of change?
Sure, I can. In my work, a lot of patients sitting before me have said to me they're really nervous about this election. They're not computerized and they don't want to be. Mm-hmm. They're worried that if they do it on the phone, somehow it's going to be something's going to happen, like what happened with Trump in Russia. Right. So they're kind of worried about that.
Don't trust it.
So personally, I would have liked to see more of both at this first election to kind of incorporate and get people more used to it. Mm-hmm. There is, however, training sessions. I'm worried a lot of the seniors might not go to them, mm-hmm. but hopefully through word of mouth they'll hear about it, or at least try telephone voting, mm-hmm. as opposed to not voting at all. That's my hope, is that if they're not computerized, they will still telephone vote, mm-hmm. and they can go to City Hall, and there's a few other places they can go and get the information on what to do so they don't miss out on the vote. I don't want anybody missing out on the vote.
Yes, yes. So on that note, 2014, 33% of eligible voters showed up. Mm-hmm. That's not good. Do you have any thoughts on why that is? Why we're seeing so much less engagement at the municipal level?
I think it's always been not a huge turnout, really, mm-hmm. and it's going to change. Perhaps the young people aren't as engaged. This is going to engage a lot more of our younger population. Hopefully the people who steadfastly vote will still steadfastly vote, even though it's changed. That's my hope. I'm going to encourage everyone to vote. Mm-hmm. Learn something new. If it's new, I'm learning too. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it that way either. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Part 3 of the interview, as I mentioned before, we're going to move from current council reflections right into your campaign, your platform, the issues that you feel are most important. So first one, just tell me what you think the most important issues the city of Sarnia is facing, and we can do your top 3.
One of the things that I think is the most is the declining tax base. Mm-hmm. People are passing away. We're losing our citizens that are senior. The young people are leaving. Mm-hmm. So many, my children all left. They won't be returning. The ones that do want to visit more, there's not enough trains, buses at more hours. We need a lot more train service, mm-hmm. Accessibility. We need to increase our citizen base. Mm-hmm. If we don't increase our citizen base, taxes would go up, because to get the same services with fewer people paying taxes, it's going to go up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, mm-hmm. and I don't want that to happen. I can't afford to pay more taxes. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we have our taxes not go up. We have enough increases, and we need to bring more people in through Lambton College, through working with realtors and marketing to the bigger cities like Toronto. Mm-hmm. Toronto has an influx of 100,000 new people every year.
Wow.
So it's just draining. Our resources in all our small towns mm-hmm. are going there.
Right.
Predominantly, or Vancouver, they're going to the bigger cities.
Right. Yep.
We need to have things here to keep their interest. We need to encourage big businesses, things that will provide a lot of jobs. Mm-hmm. That's imperative. We need to invest in increasing our visibility, mm-hmm. both globally and locally, but to encourage new jobs in order to entice growth. Mm-hmm. And I also want to make the quality of living a priority in Sarnia, as well as our citizens' health care. That's a big one.
In what way, the quality of living?
Well, I'd like to keep our assets like the arenas and the harbor running at par. I want to keep the prices competitive at the arenas so that we're not losing our rates to other cities and other communities. Mm-hmm. So that's quite important.
Okay. So picture a city in the future, and not just this 4-year term if you're elected, but over the span of about 20 or so years. What do you see in Sarnia in terms of its growth, and what's your vision?
I'd like to see much less skyline limitations, and I'd like to streamline processes, eliminate barriers to development so that we can grow upwards as opposed to outwards. I'd like to see a lot more upwards movement in the downtown core, in different areas, and there's a
I have a follow-up question to that. You're talking about the skyline and how there's barriers for going up. For some of the people that may not be familiar with that, what is the bylaw surrounding that?
I'm actually not completely sure about that. What is the height? I think it's about 18 floors
18
to
floors,
20
okay.
floors. It's not what you'd see in Toronto. It's not, well, of course not Toronto, but Mississauga. When they started really increasing the Mississauga skyline, they started getting a lot of people. They were drawing people from Toronto.
Okay.
So we need to be able to draw, and so we have to move upwards so that we're not wasting space.
Okay, that's interesting. I've not heard that approach yet in this series.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting idea. So, what types of industries do you think we should be focusing on attracting to Sarnia?
Biochemical, your regular industrial. I'd also like to see out London Roadway, I'd like to see a lot more the manufacturing for retail, like in Dixie on Toronto, the Dixie area, a lot of buyers go there and they buy, well, here we've got the bridge, so a lot of trucks can easily transport into this area, set things up where other retailers from Canada would come, outer areas, buy and supply their retail businesses as well.
Like wholesale?
Yeah, wholesale.
Yeah, okay, great. An issue that we have in our city, we talk about a lot at a provincial level, and well, really a lack of funding provincially for addiction, mental health. There's a big suicide epidemic in our town as well. And again, it does depend a lot on provincial funding. However, I feel we have a role to play at a local level. Could you comment on the crisis and any thoughts, potential ideas of what we could do at a grassroots community level to start tackling some of those issues?
We need to make the mental health and addiction services more approachable and quickly available. We've got a lot of people suffering, people being addicted that are sort of hiding their addiction. They're getting opioids prescribed much more freely than I feel they should be. I think other things should be tried first, and some people are getting prescriptions that are potentially harmful and addictive when they could go another route. Sometimes you can't go in another route, but they did have the patch program where they had to turn in the back sides of the patches. That is helpful because you're not going to get a lot more use than you need.
Right. And it's kind of keeping accountability as well.
Definitely keeps accountability.
Okay, great answer. So if you are elected as a city councillor, what could we expect from you personally?
I would try to listen. A lot of times you have all your own ideas in your head, and sometimes it's better to be quiet and sit and listen first, and then think before speaking. That's something I'm working on personally, and I would take with me into this campaign. I might not always agree with everyone, but I want to listen. I want to really hear what they're saying and see if I'm going to change my mind maybe, or think differently, or put together a different line of thought and then work towards that goal, preparing a plan based on everything I hear. Because it doesn't matter if I feel one way, if the rest of Sarnia feels another way, I'm going to be doing what the rest of Sarnia wants, because that's why I'd be elected.
Right, working for the people. Great. So as you know, long list of candidates.
Oh yes, there is.
Record numbers, lots of competition. I know again, my ears usually to the ground. I hear a lot of what people have to say. A lot of people are truly struggling. They feel that there are so many great options, and they're just not sure which four to pick. So for those people and myself as well, why should we vote for you?
I've got experience. I've got experience in building business. I've got experience on working with the city. I've got experience with people in general. In my job, I'm exposed to all kinds of people. A lot of you will recognize me once you see my face. You might not have known my name, but now you do, hopefully.
All right.
And will remember.
Perfect. There you go. So that basically concludes the general questions that I had for you as a candidate, but I would like to give you an opportunity if there's anything that you'd like to add, anything we didn't talk about, just kind of your final message for the people.
I would. I'd like to add that back in 1996, I was with my husband at the time and my 3 children, and I wanted to start my business, and I had a small little business at home. And there was so many constrictions to having a small business. So I went to City Hall. I wanted to show my kids that one person could make a difference. So I initiated and implemented 4 home occupation bylaws. So the new bylaws are actually written the way that I took it in, and I got everything I asked for. And what my goal was that home businesses could get big enough. They could start to come out and take up some of the retail spaces that were small and available and fill them within Sarnia, because we had a lot of empty space. And since that time, the bylaw changes. You can now have a small sign. You can use 25%, including attic, cellar, and garage space. You can hire someone. You weren't allowed to hire someone.
Wow.
And you can sell product that you didn't make 100% yourself, as long as it goes with what you do.
These were
changes that did not happen before.
That you brought to City Hall and to our community. Wow, good for you.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So this has been Denise Robertson. If you like what Denise has to say, get out there and vote. Polls open online and via telephone October 11th through to October 22nd. Thank you very much for watching. Share the video, share the project. Again, I'm Katie Horvath. This is Into the City, and this has been Denise Robertson for City Council.
Thank you.